Well, first you are very careful with the dogmas that you put behind you, because at a certain point they will move in front of you, and that's what happens to most people. They start out with a certain dogma, and then they end up having to protect the dogma instead of the dogma protecting them.
Right.
So I'm not a bodyweight guy. I'll use whatever works because my dogma is movement.
Sure.
So in order to induce the best results within the movement realm, I will use whatever works, which means in certain cases I'll use weights to correct certain aspects or to load specific areas in the movement chain. Uh, so we do a lot of corrective stuff with small weights, micro weights. We use weights for the lower body because it's just has been proven to be just better than body weight work. Where in the upper body, especially because of the design of our glenohumeral joint, the scapula, body weight work, gymnastics work, hand balancing, climbing, all of this stuff, and a lot of the various floor work that we're doing under locomotion, this movement language that I developed. This has been shown to be much better because of this craving of complexity of the upper body. We're meant to do a lot of complex stuff with our hands, and our arms serve the hands, and they're connected through the scapula. So all of this really points at why we want to practice more using the complexity of body weight work.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, how you integrate the two. I like how you use weights for the lower body and you use complexity for the upper body. Are you a fan of things like bench pressing at all, or do you not like the way that works anatomically?
I wouldn't say I don't like how it works anatomically. I would more look at it, can I afford to bench press? Do I have the time to bench press?
Right.
I have bench pressed before. I even competed in a bench meet once, and I saw quite a very quick ability to transfer my current strength into this kind of endeavor. But definitely not the other way around. I didn't bench press any world records, but I did bench press way over double body weight within 30 days of training.
Sure.
Yeah, because basically everything was ready and set up there.
Sure.
So bench pressing is not the bad boy in the kindergarten. It's just, do you have the time to bench press when there is so much you can do with your upper
Right.
body
Right.
that will be more transferable, more useful, more utilitarian
Sure.
in sports and movement perspective?
Right. I always had a thought in my head that, if you take two guys and one could do full range freestanding handstand push-ups for, let's say, 5 reps, and the other guy could do body weight overhead military press for 5 reps, one guy could probably do the other, but the other guy probably couldn't do the other one. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
It is, although in that case, many times you'll find people who can do those 5 reps in the handstand push-ups, but cannot military press
Okay.
5 times their body weight on a bar. And that's because of various aspects. But what you will get is, within a certain time frame,
Sure.
one guy will be able to achieve the other side much quicker than the other guy.
And
So transferring that strength, and also the most major aspect is how quickly both of them can transfer that strength into a third medium.
okay. Yeah.
And again, the body weight guy will probably prevail once more. So let's say a wrestling perspective, pressing someone, or some form of acrobatic movement, and that's where most sports people are at, basically.
Is that, in your mind, is that because, something like a freestanding handstand push-up requires more skill and coordination and balance than something like pressing a barbell overhead?
You're just scratching the tip of the iceberg.
Sure.
There is so much that goes into it. I have a full lecture that I basically explain all the reasons behind it. But some of it is open kinetic chains versus closed kinetic chain.
Sure.
Another is stability. Another one is actually the recruitment of motor units under danger. So actually, the fact that it's more dangerous is a plus in this case.
Interesting.
There is so much that goes into it. Yeah,
It's just too much to talk about in one short podcast, right? It's not just about,
yeah,
so you're saying it's not just about strength versus skill or some kind of medium in between, that there's just so many more factors that people don't even think about that really go into whether or not something's transferable.
yes, yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
In general, closed kinetic chain movements are superior to open kinetic chain, where you move the majority of your body mass towards a fixed point versus the extremities towards the majority of body mass. So, like a handstand push-up versus a military press.
Right.
Although a military press is considered superior to a machine press, um, what the handstand push-up is to the military press is what the military press is to the machine press, more or less.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, one of the interesting things about your approach, Ido, is that you have people practice a lot more than most people are hearing. So people here exercise 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, things like that. You ask your students to do a lot more than that. What is your perspective behind that? Can you share a little bit more about that with our people?
Well, first we're living in a physical body, and we have a disconnect from it over a long period of time in our history. So nowadays people are completely disconnected. They want to spend a tiny bit of time moving that body, and that body is uh, giving them a lot of grief. It's very common to hear people say, my body is betraying me, where actually you have betrayed your body a lot before. And that's how it usually works. So I view it, we come from a physical body, we are moving constantly, whether we want it or not. It's just a question of how well you're going to move.
Right.
And I believe people should dedicate a big chunk of their time for movement and exploring movement. But that's very different than saying training.
Right.
And that's the place where a lot of people misunderstand. We're not just training, we are moving constantly. We educate people to move within their day, and to insert movement chunks constantly, all the time. Similar to eating, just you're hungry, eat, and when you are deprived of movement, move. And you should have this instinct, just like a dog still has this instinct. Although it's a domesticated animal, it still retained that instinct. And you can see how dogs can become very edgy if they're not moving enough, or children. Another very good example is children will just move when they feel the need to move. So I really feel we have nowhere to run. We are living in these bodies, and we need to maintain. We need to know more about them, and we need to move properly in them in order to be happy, to live well, for our health, for our communities, for our families. Everything is connected. So the people who come to me, whether they are extremely busy, I have bankers and lawyers and people training with me. I just want to see that they are putting it high enough in the priority list.
Sure.
And then the rest is affected by it. You see amazing results within their relationships, their families. Everything gets better.
Yeah. Do you notice that within your students that some of the physical ailments that are associated with a sedentary lifestyle tend to disappear when they increase the amount of time they spend moving?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, of course. That happens very quickly, and much more than that. A lot of stuff that you cannot really see from the start to happen very quickly when you start to move a lot more. Recently we set up this challenge, the 30-30 squat challenge. Basically, spend 30 minutes a day in the bottom of a squat, accumulate the time. It doesn't have to be done in one
Sure.
chunk. for 30 consecutive days. And that shows exactly the difference in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Versus all the, the various challenges, CrossFit challenges and fitness challenges, where people are instructed to do a workout for, this amount of time. What I'm saying is, just throughout your day, just go down into a squat, what is supposed to be the most abundant human resting position,
Right.
and do that for 30 consecutive days without taking a break. No rest day. The question of, do I need to take a rest day, shows me the different perspectives there. And what happens is amazing things that people sometimes cannot even imagine when they start. For example, the effects on digestion. For example, the effects on blood vessels. What you're doing when you're squatting is very similar to just taking some object and basically folding it again and again, making sure you are able to fold it properly all the way in and then extend it out. And this is something that people don't do, and now we're discovering that it has disastrous effects. It's so basic. Like, are you compressing your body? Are you simply taking your joints and taking them through a full range of motion, compressing them and opening them? But it's not only about the joints. It's about your blood vessels doing it. It's about your nerves. Every tissue in your body, everything gets the adaptation.
That's interesting. I'm glad you mentioned the word adaptation at the end there, because that sounds like it's kind of the crux of how you like to teach people, is you're looking at a stimulus and a response. Is that what you kind of look at when you're looking at like this 30-30 squat challenge, or when you're looking at other things you're trying to do with people, is just what am I going to use as a stimulus to generate the adaptation that you want?